Welcome back to the Football Terrace. Please hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on the bell notification button. In sport, we want fairness. We want a level playing field. We want integrity. We also understand that when an athlete, whether that be a footballer or a boxer, breaks rules, we want a proportionate response. The ban, the punishment, the sanction should reflect the level of the crime. And a precedent was set last year when Ivan Toney, one of the most prolific, one of the best strikers in European football, had 233 breaches of football betting regulations. He was betting upon matches. He was betting upon games within leagues that he played in. There was 29 times that he bet on games at a club that Toney was representing. And Toney bet on his own team to win 16 times in 15 different matches, of which he played 11. And he was banned for 8 months for this. And in that time period, there were some, Paul Merson being one of them, that defended Toney and spoke of this as being an illness, spoke of this as being a problem that he needs help with, not condemnation. And I'm someone that's always been a little on the, not on the fence, but I've never really got involved in gambling addiction conversations. I'm someone that has a flutter myself, and I feel very sorry for people that can't control it. It's like I like to drink. I like to have a little drink every now and then. And I feel very sorry for people that can't control it. But I do understand that if an addiction that you have within an industry or a sport is breaking the rules and regulations of that sport, there still should be a punishment. There still should be something that you're punished with, as well as getting help. That's my fervent belief. If you think that's wrong, let me know in the comments, and maybe I'll change my mind if you can give me a good reason to. But you should get help and a punishment. But so much of what I saw surrounding Toney was just condemnation, attack, and abuse. And you go through the headlines about him. That Toney faces backlash from Newcastle fans as the FA reveals the England star bet on the Magpies to lose 11 times while he was at the club. And he is diagnosed with as a gambling addict. I mean, they add that in at the end, and that should be the lead for me, based on what we're hearing in the last few months, right? Brentford star Ivan Toney was turned away from a restaurant and rejected from his car insurance renewal. Deep that. Restaurants saying, no, you're a disgrace. Insurance companies saying, hang on a minute, no, screw you. National disgrace. Can't believe you did that. We don't want to insure you. You can't drive your car. When Arsenal were linked with him in the summer, the headline reads, Arsenal forced to pay 80 million for disgraced international. Not unwell international, not recovering international, not long-suffering international, but disgraced. Twitter was no different, with the vast majority of tweets I saw in that time condemning him, abusing him, ridiculing him, putting him down. When people did suggest, go there and do the research yourself. You don't need me to do it all for you. You're grown-ups. When people were saying, listen, we've got to help him here, support him. No, he broke the rules. He should be punished. Barely any level of support. Disgraced Ivan Toney set to speak on gambling hell. Again, not unwell Toney, not recovering Toney, set to speak on gambling recovery, set to speak on gambling illness, gambling addiction, long-standing problems, but gambling hell, all written in such a negative way. And genuinely, I hold the FA and the Premier League accountable for this. The media as well. Those three entities controlled this narrative, and they set the precedent that it was unacceptable. There are no excuses. It's a disgrace, and the fans followed suit. A different scenario, but similar to when Raheem Sterling left Liverpool. Many a player have left, and well, back then Liverpool weren't really challenging. They weren't where they are under Klopp. I've seen multiple players leave clubs to go to pastures new to win trophies, like Sterling did going to City, and he was very successful. We've seen players do it joining Liverpool since then and all other clubs around the world. And 9 times out of 10, it's celebrated as ambitious. But Raheem Sterling, because of comments from media outlets, news outlets, and the like, called him greedy. Calling him greedy painted this horrible picture of him in people's minds, which led to abuse for years, including being booed by groups of fans that had nothing to do with the situation. And although the subject matter is different on this circumstance, the behavior is the same. The way the Premier League and the FA and the media have portrayed Ivan Toney as almost a criminal has led to him being treated disgustingly. And the reason that I say that is this. The reason I say that, and I think Toney should sue, genuinely sue, because there've been 2 players. Tonali we're going to come on to. Nottingham Forest player here, Harry Toffolo, was given a suspended 5-month ban after admitting 375 breaches of betting rules, having placed 40 historic bets involving his own team. 15 of those were against his own side. So unless I'm misreading this, it's well over 130, 140 more breaches. And 11 more times he bet against his own team. 5-month ban versus 8, 1 followed through with, the other suspended. I read that Toney wasn't maybe as cooperative and there's all this nonsense, but for me, like I said at the beginning, where's the proportionality? This is a bigger crime, a bigger breach, less of a punishment than suspended. And Harry, when you read a lot of, there's no articles about him calling him a disgrace. He hasn't been banned from restaurants. It's all, he's a victim. He has an addiction and we need to help him. And I agree with that. But where was that energy for Toney? When it comes to Tonali, you see the headline here. Tonali's agent says Newcastle midfielder suffering from gambling illness. Newcastle will come out, and rightfully so, by the way, are backing him. We're going to support him. We're going to get him the help that he needs. That's being endorsed by everybody, and well done. The media constantly running their headlines that it's an illness, he's an addict, he's working hard to get over it, he's cooperating, he's a good kid. And I like that. That's how I want Toney to be treated. I don't want everybody treated badly like Toney. I want everybody treated well like these 2. If we are calling gambling problems an illness, then everybody needs to be treated as if they're unwell if they break these rules. You can't treat some of them as patients and some of them as criminals. Unless you have some underlying, deep-rooted bias in this situation. Not only is Tonali under investigation for illegal gambling in Italy, I believe it's things like blackjack and a different betting game. I lose my mind right now, so I apologize, which are illegal in England, I've read. But in Italy, they're illegal. It still means he's broken the law. Illegal gambling. Toney's not been arrested for illegal gambling. And on top of that, Tonali is admitted to betting on AC Milan matches. However, the Italian international stated he only bet on Milan to win and when he wasn't involved in the squad. Okay, so some differential there. So this man has done exactly the same types of breaches as Toney and potentially some illegal ones. Now, not in England. I get that. And this isn't Harry's situation at Nottingham Forest, or he was actually at Norwich when he breached the rules, is more about the punishments being disproportionate and unfair. Tonali's situation, I like how he's being treated, but I want to know why Toney wasn't treated exactly the same goddamn way. It ruffles my feathers. It leaves me with a sick taste in my mouth. Everybody should be getting the same treatment here. There shouldn't be a difference. And genuinely, Toney probably hasn't got the time or inclination or energy to do it because he wants to focus on getting back to playing football. But he should be looking at these media outlets, looking at how he was treated, looking at how he was spoken about, and he should sue. That's just he should do something. Because he's going to miss 8 months of his career for lesser crime, lesser breaches, than other individuals have committed or currently under investigation for. And he wasn't even afforded the luxury of being called a victim. He was called a national disgrace, abused, ridiculed, laughed at. And I don't, listen, it's just my opinion, but that's what my channel's here for, me to give my opinion on football things. Personally, I think it's an absolute abomination of a situation. I really, really do. I'd love to get your view on this. Some of you may agree, some of you may disagree with what I'm saying, and I'm all here for the opinions. But there's something about this that is massively, massively off key. I want to know what you think. Cheers, people.